is the world's best chocolate cake, hands down. Today we're making the very best chocolate cake recipe of all time. Now, as a baker, I have tried many chocolate cake recipes over the years, but this one is different. So what makes this the best chocolate cake? The cake is moist, the chocolate ganache frosting is rich and decadent, and it doesn't taste too much like sugar. It's more like that rich, chocolatey cake that you just want to keep eating more of. This is the kind of cake where you take it to a celebration and no one's taking home leftovers because everyone is going to scrape those plates, and I have seen a few lick them clean as well. Alright, let's get started. So I'm going to start by placing all of the dry ingredients into this bowl. Once we get to our cocoa powder, we're going to use a sieve, because whenever you are using cocoa powder in baking recipes, it can be quite clumpy. I would say 50% of the time you put cocoa powder in and it has all of these big chunks in it, and it's just not nice for anyone to bite into this delicious moist cake with a chunk of cocoa powder. So we're gonna put it through a sieve, just a little one like this, place it on top of the bowl, measure the cocoa powder.
I always like to measure my ingredients with scales instead of cups. It's just a lot more accurate, and then that means that you get the exact same results every single time. After the dry ingredients, we've got the wet ingredients: buttermilk, vegetable oil, and eggs.
Alright, now I'm going to add my baking powder and baking soda, and then always adding a little bit of salt. Salt is essential in baking. I know sometimes when you're early and new to baking, you might see it and go, why would I want to put salt in my delicious sweet goods? But I promise you, salt is going to amplify all of those flavors, and it's really important when you're baking anything chocolate because it really helps draw out the flavor of the cocoa. Alright, so we've got our 3 large eggs. They can also go into the mix. Okay, next up is some freshly brewed coffee. Don't be fearful of putting coffee in your desserts. This is one of the most essential ways that you can bring out that really rich cocoa flavor of the chocolate. And the lucky last ingredient is vanilla. So an important note about vanilla, there's a few different types of vanilla that you can get. You can get vanilla essence, vanilla extract, or real vanilla, so vanilla beans. I like to go in between when I'm using it inside like the baking of a cake or a brownie, and I like to use extract. And we're ready to mix. Okay, really important when you are beating a cake mix is to be really careful not to overbeat the batter. It's really just gonna mess things up, so take it nice and slow and beat everything until it is fully incorporated on low speed. Okay, so for this recipe, I've made enough for 3 8-inch cake tins. We are going to give them a little spray with some cook release spray. I love using this in the bakery. Just any neutral spray is gonna be good. A nice little coating so that when we flip the cakes out of the cake tins, none of it sticks to the pan. And let me tell you a little secret, I don't line my cake tins with baking paper. It's not super necessary, and if I do, it'll be like a little square at the bottom, but there's plenty of spray on there, so I know that they're gonna come out just perfectly. Then I'm going to use this little scale here to measure out my batter so that every single cake is exactly the same size, so that when we go to stack those layers with the ganache, we have perfectly even layers of chocolate cake. And now we're gonna go ahead and place our cakes in the oven. Alright, next up is our cream. So we're going to give this a little zap in the microwave so that it is nice and warm. I like to use a high quality chocolate, but also I like to just go to the supermarket to get my chocolate. So you can get good enough quality chocolate at the supermarket. I really like the Whittaker's dark chocolate. This one's 72%, so it is quite dark. If you wanted to go for something a little less bitter, maybe like around 58%, but this is the one I like for this recipe. And then I'm just gonna break that up, pretty much the whole block. Okay, so big chunks of chocolate that we're just going to break up a little bit more. And you know what? I'm actually gonna change my mind and put it in this dirty cream cup. And I think it'll melt quite nicely in there. A few little zaps in the microwave. You can do this over a stove if you wanna play it safe. I never play it safe in the kitchen, so I'm just gonna go for 30-second bursts in the microwave and give it a stir in between just to make sure that I don't overdo it. But we just want the chocolate melted, but not too hot so that it melts all of the buttercream. Almost to the fun part. Yes! So this is what we're going for. As you can see, it is already in like just a few minutes, already starting to really beat up nice and glossy. Always scrape down the sides of your bowl. That is where all the little crumbs go to hide. So I'm gonna give that a scrape and then put that back on.
Okay, now it's time for the fun part, which is of course stacking the cake. You've got your perfectly moist chocolate cake layers and then your rich chocolate fudge buttercream, and now it's time to put that all together. If you're transporting the cake, be sure to do this onto a cake board, but if you're just eating the cake from home, then you can go directly to a cake stand. That first layer is going to be our chocolate cake, and then we're going to add a nice big dollop of chocolate fudge frosting on top. And then all you need to do is grab an offset spatula to spread the fudge frosting around before adding the next layer. Obviously, really important that we don't start this process until the cakes are completely cooled. Otherwise, all of the fudge frosting would melt. So make sure that your chocolate cakes are completely cooled before you start, and then just repeat the process until you stack all of your layers of chocolate cake and those rich, even layers of chocolate fudge frosting.
This is the world's best chocolate cake. There she is. So as you can see, we've got the layers of ganache, the moist cake, and then put that all together and you have a chocolate party, okay? This is a party in your mouth of the chocolate variety. I'm so excited to eat this. The number one rule in baking is that it has to look good, but it also has to taste better than it looks. So you can't just have something that looks good, it also has to taste bomb. So it's like a cloud. This is absolutely the best cake in the world. It's even better than I remember, honestly. This is dangerously addictive. This is the chocolate cake to end all chocolate cakes. It is so rich, so moist, and melts in your mouth. Chef's kiss. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe for more baking recipes, tutorials, hacks, and tips from the bakery itself. Thanks for watching Bake with Brookie. I'll see you guys next time. We out.